Be by the roadside after being told by her pastor that the child was possessed with a snake spirit. According to the story, the child was taken to the police station when found by the roadside and was later traced to the mother, who said the reason for her action was because she lacked 52,000 naira to pay the pastor to conduct the deliverance that will free her child from the snake spirit. Now, we hear of this kind of stories a lot of time, and we thought it was important for us to discuss it, because there are lots of people, it might sound funny to us, but there are a lot of people actually that believe this kind of thing. So it's important for us to discuss it. Two of you call us on 070-8066-8014. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Now, the reason we thought it was important to talk about it was because a lot of people seem to be using talk as words brainwashed, or somebody had said that people leave their brains at home when they go to church these days. It's like, we don't listen anymore, we are ignorant. But how do we get to this point? How do we get to the point where whatever this person behind the pulpit says, that's the only way, especially when it's irrational? Let me start. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to say this actually happened in Sapele. Number one, I would want to point out that this woman, if actually a child has a spirit of a snake, like her pastor alleged, like a pastor alleged, then she can actually do something with her child. I mean, on her own. If the pastor needs to pray for the child, she does not have to pay money. You'll be so surprised that so many people out there pay so much money to this pastor, some pastors, because they want to be prayed for. So I don't understand. Some people seem to be so gullible and they just believe everything that comes from some of these pastors.
Yeah, but I thought the Bible
Are you supposed to pay money?
We have the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions and nothing. So why do you need another? Because a lot of people out there believe that if a man of God doesn't lay hands, this thing is not going to happen. Is it that we don't read the Bible, or I don't get it?
It's even to the point where someone will tell you, deliverance from marine spirits, there has a price tag. Deliverance from spiritual husband has price tag. Deliverance from in-law issue, price tag. Breakthrough for 1 billion has a price tag. Breakthrough for 500 has a price tag. And people actually pay this money because they want to achieve the breakthrough. Oh, no. And sadly, I don't like blaming the government. Honestly, I always feel like there's something you can do on your own. But I have to blame the government here. Because,
why?
And I'll thank you for asking. When the government has failed to do the right thing, when there's a structure on ground that I can, without any spiritual affiliation, I can walk my walk, I'll earn my money, I'll live a comfortable life. When everything fails us in our society, we run to the only thing that can work. That is the only thing that gives us any form of hope. Is the spiritual. And because it is mystified, we don't even need to understand it. Because the one that we can understand is not working. So let me go and seek the one I don't understand.
Right. Okay. For me, I totally agree with Tokwe. I totally agree with her. But, there's something that is very, very important in my faith that is always emphasized, that you have knowledge. Allah says, know me before you worship me. Unfortunately, people think that you have to know God through someone. You gain knowledge by studying. You don't sit down with suspicion, lay on. In fact, in Islam, I know suspicion is a sin. When you are not careful with it, you offend or falsely accuse the person. Then it's a sin. Why don't people just try to open these so-called books, study these books, rather than base it on what someone says is in the book?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because when you base it on what someone says, for instance, in this case scenario, if she knew her Bible well, if she even had a bit of knowledge at all of her Bible, she would know that it is what she says upon her child,
yes,
that will be for that child. Based on knowledge, there are fast now. Let me now come to my own angle of things. Yeah. There are fast, they make a whole lot of money based on suspicion. Okay, I need money from a client, for instance. You've seen that Yala Salatu of the society. You think her children are well educated. This woman will be bringing you money. You create a story around her. Madam, maybe next week somebody will be visiting you from the village. Of course, somebody will come from the village. Yala Salatu. And that person, you'll be careful around her. These evil people. Yeah. And then you create a friction before that person comes. Yeah. She starts to treat the person with suspicion. a lot of these people do these things,
you're very correct.
and we are not even trying to correct them.
Let me come to
Yala Salatu, for instance, now does not have the knowledge to know that
exactly
the all-seeing is God himself.
And this is what caused a lot of rift between families, even homes back then.
Yes,
growing up.
homes.
Let me come to
even before, like the example you mentioned now, there's some people even before they get married, they go to their pastors and they tell them, and the pastors start telling them stories about the spouse to be, that okay, don't get married to this guy has this guy has that, this lady is a witch, her mother is a witch, and you see the young man pulling back, or the lady, as the case may be. My question is, for heaven's sake, you say you know God, you go to church, you hear the word of God. Can't you just know God for yourself and know what the word of God says about you? What about the husband? Where is he?
Right. Let me take Alan here from Surulere. Are you there?
I'm there. Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
My name is Aleogo.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Sorry about that. Go ahead, please.
You see, part of those problems of religion, the religion to Africa, to me, I do tell people it's a borrowed religion. We don't even believe in our Bible. We are so weak. Women are part of the problem of religion.
True.
My wife will come and tell me, Pastor Adeboye, may God be my God. Do I know the God Adeboye is serving? That we should go and worship in Adeboye? Because of we are weak, and women are part of the problem. I tell you 100%. Why my wife will tell me, social pastor, that's why you see churches today. They are putting husband and wife picture in advert all over the churches. That pastor is praying very well. Can't you pray? Can't you read your Bible very well?
Very well.
When you read the Bible, how many times did Jesus Christ perform miracle? But today you see all miracle everywhere.
Yeah.
Miracle everywhere, and women are part of the problem.
Thank you very much, Aleogo, for that point, because that's a very valid point. A lot of women are gullible. A lot of women, every single thing they do is around pastor. They respect their pastor so much.
So much.
You see, I mean, I see people come to me, hey, that is going to be down. And I'm wondering, right.
He's a man.
He's a human being. He's a man of God. I mean, people go, I mean, as much as I respect my father in the Lord, Daddy Adeboye, but I don't turn my head upside down because he's going to be in town. People will go and line up.
You're talking of just being in
crowded,
town,
and I'm wondering, goodness gracious, even for my living room, and I know he's there, it's my faith that allows me to take the anointing that God has placed upon his life. I don't have to be in that mix, but until you go there and you touch the hem of his garment, before you know that, yes, you are healed. So that's part of what Aleogo is saying concerning a lot of women.
You touched on something. People going to a pastor before getting married. Jumoke shared a story of someone she knows personally, that the person went to pray over a supposed fiance, and they said the man was going to die early, and she's still single till now, and the man has gotten married, had children, the man has not died yet.
Look at that.
So to an extent, if she had just married the person she was in love with, this is waiting for. I think that we can't emphasize enough personal education.
No, Tokwe.
No,
have you seen
educated people? Educated, serious. You see them fighting for pastors. You see them fighting for the pastors. You see them. I mean, you'll be wondering what's going on here. This pastor can actually speak for himself. You hear stories everywhere, and because of that, some of these pastors that are fake have taken advantage of young women, even married women. So especially those of them
to the point of abandoning her child that she carried for 9 months.
Let me
dump the child because they cannot afford 52,000 naira for a pastor. That's pathetic.
When you have a medical condition, if it is a medical condition, they said, Professor Aslam said, tie your horse before you trust God. Do you understand? Take precaution, then trust the Almighty. So you take precaution and you put your trust in God directly, knowing that
you don't use your drugs.
Let me take this call. Joshua, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Mariah.
Morning, go ahead, please.
You see, Mariah, the issue of religion is very sensitive in this country.
True.
I feel religion has even killed more people than even war or any other sickness in this country. Religion has gotten to a place in this country that people will say they question the man of God. Don't believe. And I support totally 101%. Government needs to step in. That FRT man that they start, I think the was deceived to start that man. Because we need to regulate religion in this country. In the case where a man at Orebu is collecting JP for crossover night, now we need to step into religion. Pastors now keep buying private. I wonder, is it stupidity that a man of God, we have 4 private jets, party is 2 million naira per day, and the members will be there suffering. And they say it's a man of God, don't worry, we pay for us. You need to step into religion, Mariah, because it's still this country. I could not take care. It's like a come get your father ready to escape this country.
Thank you very much,
Joshua. Let me bring another angle into this. This woman that, the pastor said the baby and all that, what kind of family did she come from? Before you know, she would just take the child. Did she not consult the husband, the mother-in-law, you know, people within the home?
We don't just dump your baby on the road.
For her to dump her baby like that.
We're running out of time. People need to realize that you cannot pay for, you shouldn't pay for miracles.
That's my part.
I'm a Christian and I understand my Bible, and I can say it categorically that no Christian, no pastor should ask you to pay for a miracle. That is a fake pastor. So as you are watching, listen and believe me, because I'm also speaking as a child of God. The same way the pastor is a child of God. No pastor should pay. You shouldn't pay for miracle. You shouldn't believe a pastor be above God, and you should know your God for yourself.
Tobe, I was going to concur, but because not just paying for miracle. Don't just sow seeds, because some pastors that come, they come in a funny way. They'll coin it, you have to pay sow seed for so and so thing to happen. You have to believe it and know if the Spirit of God is leading. You have the Spirit of God in you. It should lead you and tell you what you want to do. Sure. You understand? You don't just go about, there's something a younger sister of mine was doing there. She just got into this new church and everything is about seed. Where is your phone? My BlackBerry, I sold it. Where is that beautiful skirt? I sold it. Where is this? I sold it. I'm like, what are you sowing? You're sowing everything.
Let me take some tweets. Emeka says, some pastors are 419, but God will judge them all. They are deceiving many ignorant Christians. Oladimeji says, we are too quick to believe the speech of anyone standing on the pulpit or altar without reasoning. And Skittish Money says, mental illness with a lot of Nigerians. How can you explain behaviors like this? Remember the boy from Akwa Ibom?
That's true. Well, that's all we can take on this segment. Unfortunately, hopefully this conversation hasn't ended, because these kind of things will still happen. So, but we just need to continue the conversation, remind people that please think for yourself, read the Bible, read the Quran by yourself. You don't need any mediator to understand what the Bible is saying, all right? That's all we can take on this segment. When we return, meningitis is hot all over the town. Curbing the scourge of meningitis is next on Let's Talk. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Yes, the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed no fewer than 383 persons have died in the latest outbreak of meningitis in the different parts of Nigeria. The center also confirmed that 2,524 suspected cases have been recorded. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Disease Center, Dr. Chikwueze Ihekwezu, yes, I was trying to practice that, has said that the disease has spread to 16 out of 36 states, which includes Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, and Niger State. Joining us to enlighten us more is an infectious disease specialist, Dr. Joseph Onigbende. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
You can call us 070-8066-8014. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Right. Meningitis. I mean, we know a few facts. Children usually get vaccinated for meningitis, but this one we're talking about is this cerebrospinal, which is a type C, until I'm told.
No, when you say cerebrospinal,
yes,
that means the infections of the brain and the spinal cord.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect children or adults.
Right.
So it's all the same thing.
Right.
So some call it meningococcal infection, others call it cerebrospinal meningitis.
Great. But at this point, sir, this type C, we're told, this stereotype C,
yeah,
how is it different from the one we know?
Oh, yes. Do you want us to define meningitis?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Meningitis just simply means inflammation of the meninges.
Yes.
The meninges are membranes that, they are supportive membranes that cover the brain and the spinal cord, from protecting it from infections and some physical injuries. But occasionally they can be attacked, it can be infected. It can be bacteria, it can be a viral, it can also be a fungal. But most of the time when you're talking about outbreak, epidemic this way, it's usually due to bacterial infections. So the bacteria that can actually cause epidemic, most of the time, there are many of them, but Neisseria meningitidis is the most culpable. And these infections have serotypes. In fact, up to 13 different serotypes.
Okay.
But only 5 of them actually call disease.
Okay.
So, and we have serotype A, B, C, W, and Y. You know, and the other serotypes 9 and all those, they don't N, but they don't usually cause. So, but in this African meningitis belt, as we are called, we've always had serotype A giving problems, and in the last few years, that has been battled with a lot of vaccines and so on. But this time around, it appears as if we are having an exchange of serotypes. So we have serotype C, which had not visited us before.
Wow.
It's mainly, usually in the US.
How does it spread? How does it spread? Because, you know, we read that, you know, heat or congested environment worsens the spread of meningitis. And some people are now saying it's like Ebola, wash your hands. So exactly what should we do?
Yeah, you're right. Well, there is a place for climatic changes, because when it have epidemic, most of the time it's during very hot seasons, like from February, sometimes December to May. And it's been observed that after the hot season, when you move into the rain season, when you have the cold season, that it stops. So that is why they now attribute to heat. And what happens is that truly heat can affect it, because actually the organisms itself, most of them, they stay commensally. They are normal habitats of the system. They don't cause trouble until there is a problem. If there's a problem, maybe the immune system of the person is weakened, or something makes them, they become pathogenic. So it's not really fully understood how the pathogenesis, but it appears as if the heat and low, what do you call it now, humidity make them more pathogenic.
Okay. I was going to ask that. What are the symptoms? Because reading from one of the newspapers this morning, I understand that the center was even asking the monarch and the traditional rulers to encourage the people to immediately get to the hospital when they observe that they're ill. Yeah. But how do they detect that, okay, this and this could be the cause? What are the signs to look out for?
Yes.
The symptoms, rather.
Generally, symptoms and signs, generally, you can feel the temperature is usually high. That's high temperature. Then they have headache, sometimes weakness, which these are non-specific symptoms. Okay. But when it comes to something like photophobia, that is fear of light, when the patient is complaining of fear of light, or cannot really open his eyes, and then you have headache and sometimes vomiting, and then occasionally, like we saw in the case of, I think it was reported somewhere that father was saying that the son just laughed.
Really?
He laughed 2 times and then gave up. Wow. You know, you call that rhizosardonicus. It's not usually, that is not usually attached to meningitis, mostly due to what do you call it? Tetanus.
I read that also rashes. If you have rashes, you can do a glass test. If you put a glass on the rash, if you see through the glass, it means that there's possible meningitis. Is that true?
Yes. Right. There are quite a number of symptoms, but the ones that are really very key is photophobia. Wow. Very, very important. Very, very key.
Photophobia. Wow.
Photophobia, that's fear of
light.
Fear of light.
Fantastic. Yes.
Okay, with the prevalence of misdiagnosis, how careful should we be? Because it's already becoming endemic in some areas of the country. How should we take care of ourselves to prevent it from getting into us? And how do we watch out for cases where, if it's happening in some areas, how do we protect ourselves from them?
Yeah, somebody mentioned it, that one of the things that actually put people at risk of getting it is when you have congested environment. You know, something is not, you don't have good ventilation. Okay. You know, like you have an IDP camps.
IDP camps.
And then IDP camps. Okay. And then like we have in Bangbokpa in those days. You know Bangbokpa? There's a University of Lagos when you use your scotometer to sit down, you are squatting me. The room is for 2 people, but almost 8 people will stay in the same place. So that will also predispose you to such a child.
I wanted to ask, because this stereotype C we'll be reading about, the scary part of it is that the CEO of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control is saying
not available.
we don't have enough vaccine. The vaccine is very scarce. Yes. Also, it's expensive, between $30 to $50 for vaccine. And they need about $1.1 billion to vaccinate 22 million people. How realistic is it? How do we actually get these things to these 22 million people who are at risk?
Well, it's unfortunate, actually. And I think that one of the problems why we're having this problem is that hepatitis, meningitis. I'm an infectious disease specialist, so I'm taking up hepatitis. So this serotype C had not visited us before. And like the CDC chairman said, the vaccines are not available for now. In fact, those ones that are available, they are controlled by WHO. They have to specially request for it, and they said you have only 500,000 for now, which is inadequate. So I think we have to.
You're an infectious disease specialist,
yes.
And you know the Nigerian government. We had an infectious disease department that took care of the Ebola issue at the time, investigating it. Was it that we were not educated or equipped enough to research on our own and on creating our own vaccines for every type of infectious disease within our region?
Or to add to that, were we prepared? We're not prepared because according to this same DG, the first sighting was second week in December. So if it had been contained as Ebola was contained, maybe it would have spread this 22, keep having these 22 million people at risk. What should have been done?
And why do we always rely on international agencies?
Yes, you just hit the point. Well, you said we were prepared for Ebola.
Yes. We're not prepared. We're not
able to contain it.
Yes,
we're able to contain it.
And because God was on our side.
Yeah. Yes,
right.
Because a lot of things there were actually supernatural. Yeah. We were not really prepared. That's the problem we keep on saying. Our structures are very weak. In fact, most of the time we're even structureless, and those the attack against or the fight against Ebola, we're only lucky that we just converted a structure that was meant for polio, given to us by Belinda and Gates Foundation. We now converted that. Not that our government had anything.
What could they have done? As we were saying, what could they have done to curtail this earlier in December? For spreading this much?
We have to step up our surveillance system. Okay. So you don't let down the guard at any time.
In all fairness to the center, they also mentioned that they're preparing for 2018. 2018, they need vaccines for 2018, I mean, for the heat period. So it could be that, Murray, that they actually do their own bit. But as usual, the federal government, just like we have in the sports sector, that today the coach is paid, tomorrow the footballers are being held, they're not being paid. Could it be that this center, I mean, does all it's required, but still no funding? The federal government is not pulling its weight as it should be.
Well, I won't blame the all because the issue of health is actually multifactorial, and a lot of people should actually come in. All over the world, especially in the developed nations. It's not you don't just put everything to government.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take some tweets and phone calls, because most of our viewers, we have a lot of viewers in the north, and it's important that they know how to understand the symptoms and then know where to seek help. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Toko, yes.
I have a question. Now, most children, I have a one-year-old child and he's been vaccinated. But with this, is he still at risk with the new one? Do I still need to do any extra vaccination and all that concerning?
Yeah, well, let me first of all say that the vaccination that we're talking about is not 100% effective. No. We are not sure that's 100% you are going to get it, and it does not even come immediately. It starts being effective from 10 days to 30 days and all that. So sometimes when you have outbreak like this, it's not even sometimes all the time when you have outbreaks like this, there's always good what we call reactive vaccination. Okay. And so it might be necessary
to do.
Yes,
so even though we have, if you vaccine, you have the regular meningitis, it's key that you should seek out this new meningitis vaccine.
Mind you that we don't even, we've never had serotype C,
C before.
around
Okay,
this time.
so it's
Yes.
So is children
Okay, let me
that are
take
already
this call.
vaccinated are still not protected from this one?
No, not
They're
absolutely.
not. Oh, okay. So let's take Tony. Tony, are you there?
Hello?
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, ladies
Morning.
and doctor.
Good morning.
The doctor mentioned the symptoms. You know, I believe the symptoms he mentioned are usually for children. Because my brother died of cerebral-spinal meningitis many years back.
Okay.
And it started with stiffness of the neck. And before it was referred to loose. So what are the major signs, you know, for adults? Because all these rashes and other things, it didn't happen to him. It was
Right.
purely stiffness of the neck.
Stiffness.
They
Thank you
put
very
it all
much.
around his neck for
Thank you,
about a
Tony.
week before the doctor suspected meningitis. And we asked whether he visited the north. They said yes, he visited the north once.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Concerning
thank you
stiffness.
very much. Actually, the symptoms are myriad, like I told you. We didn't get to all of them, but one of the classical signs, like he mentioned, is what we call knuckle rigidity. That's this stiffness of the neck. And in children, actually, sometimes you have some posturing. We call episostomus, when the child will just bend like this, backward like this, because of the contraction of the muscle.
Wow.
So one of the problems we have with meningitis, the muscles go into spasm. So
Okay. I want us to bring this home because so far the reports we've had are in the north. And it's important that we've discussed the symptoms and all that, and the fact that the vaccine is scarce, and hopefully, even if you use the vaccine today, 10 days to Thursday before it starts becoming effective. Now, there are people in the southern part of Nigeria, just like she was saying, that are worried that this might come down. So my question to you, should we be scared in the southern part of Nigeria it's going to come down, number one? Number two, for those of us here, are you advocating that we should try to seek out to get the vaccine for this type C that we've never had before for our children, especially even adults, since we've never had it before? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm not saying that actually. Even if you want to get type C vaccine now, I'm sorry you might not get
Yes,
like you have seen. But what we need to do now is actually to avoid contamination, like you said, with somebody who has symptoms that are very close to meningitis. So just avoid some risky behaviors. For instance, smoking, for instance, puts you at risk.
Okay.
Smoking, and then, like you said, living in an environment that is congested, and so many things.
Is it true that kissing? Is it true that kissing? Okay.
Yes, kissing too.
Before I take your comment, let me take this call from Worry. Fatima, are you there? I'm so sorry, Fatima. I do apologize, please. Go ahead.
I wonder about the vaccine that we had when, you know, meningitis broke some time back. I think I was about 12 years old when I had the first vaccine. What's the lifespan?
No, it's not. It doesn't confirm.
And how useful?
Yeah. Well, like I told you, it's not 100% effective, and maybe like 5 years, 2 to 5 years. So you have to
continue renewing it.
Especially when you have a break like this, I suggest that we, if possible, get ourselves vaccinated ourselves.
Again.
Again.
But not against serotype C, because
we
this
don't
is
have
not
that.
available.
But even the regular one.
Even the regular serotype A.
So that you don't have rebound. You know,
well, government made, I think at that time, government ensured that everybody got vaccinated at that time. And after then, we've never heard of a general vaccination.
Even now, we should do it again.
So
let me take this call from Olabi. Are you there?
Hello, good morning, Mariah.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
I'm every time caller.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Rebecca. And thanks for the good work.
Okay.
You know, what I really want the government to do, I think they need more publicity about this stuff. This thing is happening in the north. This doesn't guarantee that it's not coming to the south here. But we need more awareness about this.
Oh, goodness. Are you still there, Olabi? We need to get the DG of the chairman, like the CEO of the Center for Disease Control to come and let us know what we need to do, what measures they're putting in place to get these vaccines in Nigeria as soon as possible, because we know in WHO. But we mentioned earlier that even private millionaires and billionaires, instead of buying bulletproof cars and building houses, shouldn't we have this kind of research institutes here where we can actually, that can help us for this kind of things. We don't have that. All they're doing is just buying houses in Banana Island.
And different cars.
I mean, it's really pathetic.
Yeah.
There's questions on Twitter. Eric Abraham says, I don't really have photophobia, but I have a little pain in my eye socket with a little head. Could it be early symptoms of photophobia?
Photophobia is very clear. Okay. It's just the fear of bright light.
Okay. So, all right. Let's take some tweets, more tweets, please.
Okay. Reverend says, our government don't take proactive measures, rather they are reactive when situations are worse. And Onuche Onokoju says, it was not luck that fought Ebola, but leadership competence deployed with absolute precision.
Okay. We have to round up, sir. Just especially our viewers in the northern part of this country, what would you advise them to do? I mean, at this time, you've told us already, stay out of crowded places, try to,
symptoms.
I mean, just be safe, take a lot of fluid. What else did you mention? I thought staying healthy.
In addition, Mariah,
yes.
what would the family members of those are affected now, what should they do? Because it's just like Ebola. If you if you have a contact with the person, it's contagious. So what should they do? I mean, those that are
just like Ebola, like we mentioned, if you have somebody who has symptoms that are very similar to them, take him immediately to the hospital and then protect yourself also.
Right. Okay. All right. We haven't finished this conversation either because the breakout is still on. We're still going to try to get the CEO of the Nigerian Institute of Disease Control, the Center of Disease Control, hopefully to give us more information, because we have lots of people out there who are at risk. They said 22 million right now. It might increase, so we need to be careful. Please stay away from crowded areas, have a lot of ventilation, and drink lots of fluid. And once you notice anything, please see your doctor. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.